but there was a question about differentiating between backlog prioritization and portfolio prioritization, right? Which I think speaks to this, like, as you get more complex with your organization design, right? How do you differentiate between these two things? And then a nice tee up on what tools would you recommend for portfolio management? I know I have one, but yeah, so maybe you can touch on both of those, Becky.
All right, cool. So yeah, so I think one of the things that were about the backlog prioritization, or, I think a lot of us actually learned from, early days of Agile, say, product managers, keep your backlog groomed. And then we realized, dang, that doesn't make sense, because when I grew my backlog, I prioritize based on what I think is the most important things at that time. And as soon as you release certain feature set to the market, everything changed, right? Your prioritization at that moment of time doesn't really matter anymore, because things changed. If my goal right now is to drive, user adoption, so I have all the things about like a tech debt, scaling, and all that stuff, it's not a problem. But then, a couple of quarters down the road, and have lots of user adoption, we have did a lot of tests around, we did a lot of hacks, so we did all this growth hacking and whatnot, but it's not scalable. So our platform is failing, and then we need to figure out something. And then we did a 65 different integration to different platform, and then half of them really should be ported out and shared a component. And that backlog grooming is very challenging and dangerous if you don't have the context on what am I prioritizing for, right? What are we prioritizing for? If what is important is changing, we can't have backlog grooming. So what that means is that, kind of go to the next phase session a little bit more, and we talk about the sort of why top-down alignment is really important. If we were to say, as a company right now, our key focus is growth, and we cannot forget about retention, we cannot forget about the stability and whatnot, but we are focusing on growth right now. We need to get new customer. Well, sorry, growth is the wrong word. New customer, right? New customer acquisition. We're going to spend 50% of our time and the resources and energy and whatnot to acquire new customer. It could come from all places. It could be marketing, could be product, could be UX and experimentation, data, all that. 50% of focus. Now, we prioritize in that team, that anyone getting involved in that team said all the things that we could do, you prioritize it towards that goal. And let's say, obviously when you talk about retention and others, obviously towards those goals as well. And, a couple months down the road, you were super successful in driving new customers. Now retention is a big problem, because you start losing a lot of them because of various reasons. So now you need to prioritize for every product team that are part of this retention initiative and focus. We say, okay, we have to prioritize our product backlog ideas towards this retention focus. And that's where, sort of the prioritization is tricky, in that if we can't have a static prioritization framework, and then we have to change it based on our focus. So that's around prioritization. Obviously regarding tooling, and I want to just call out a little bit, one of the the main reason I started Dragonboat was because there was just no tool for portfolio management in the modern world. I use traditional portfolio management tools. They cost millions of dollars. They're very expensive to implement. They're really very much focused on financials, and they are also very much focusing on governance. And that's sort of really waterfall era. And then you have product teams coming together. They're like, hey, we need to manage our roadmaps. We need to manage our backlogs. We need to communicate to our stakeholders. So you have all those product management roadmap tools for individual product managers. But then what happens is, as the company started to scale, you're like, well, it's portfolio. We have to run it as a portfolio, because we have to collectively create an outcome what a company needs at the time we need them. And that's not product management times N. There's a lot more intertwined, a lot of adjustment. That's really portfolio management. So as I was trying all the tools, really couldn't find it, and realized that portfolio management is not very well understood in the new way of thinking about it. And that's really what we started, what I started Dragonboat, really is taking product management, portfolio management, and then the overall workflow of running a product organization into a tool. So that's basically a short answer to it.
Awesome. Yeah. Her tool is really great, guys. You should check it out. Thanks, Becky.